uh, like if I change it in on that day, will it be fine?
Yeah. But you have to inform in the morning itself, like by day. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So when they share you the timings, I just inform them. For example, you know the days Thursday and Sunday you will be having your class, right? So for example, today you won't be available. So tell them that I won't be available at 8. Just keep my class at 9 or 9:10, whatever it is. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
If you are available between 9 to 10, just tell them that in 9 to 10, just keep the class. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. And similarly for Janab, in case if you are not available someday, you can just inform them that please keep my class at 9 or after 9. You have in between 8 to 9, you can keep your class 8 to 9:30, right? To 10. So yeah. Even if you are available at late, you can just inform them. Just inform that we are available at 8 at this time, and like not regularly, but I think for like maybe so you have some work or something, so at that particular point of time. Okay. Okay, so students, what we were doing in the previous class? Mm, we did this work particip. This is right. That's it, or we have to start from here, right? I think I told you people to read it out from your book, from your PDF, right? This work population ratio.
Yes, ma'am. We also did the formula also.
Yeah. Okay. So now, ma'am, what is work population ratio? Basically, it is estimated number of workers. And one more thing, Janab and Amos. Right now, whatever I'm covering, like we are covering this in a one go, right? So what I am doing right now, like these days, I am preparing a assignment for you. Assignment in the sense, I am preparing a program. Program will be like in the self-study session, we'll be completing that. Okay, that is for your Indian Eco, right? So over here from Indian Eco, like they are not asking you the direct question, right? Accession, registration, there are case studies, are there, so many things are there, right? So though you people are attending the self-study session, so for the month of December, from tomorrow it's a December is, so we'll be covering macro only. Okay. But from January onwards, the entire January month, we will be covering Indian Eco. And I am planning that plan in such a way that it will be a revision for you. Plus, you will get to know like so many extra things about each and every chapter. So, and from January itself, I will keep your 3 classes, not 2 classes. I will keep your 3 classes for Indian Eco. Because Indian Eco is a vast subject. So, I need to explain you few things like a proper revision and everything. So, from this onwards, we'll be doing that in the self study. Like what we will be doing, like if we are done with the syllabus, we'll be discussing few concepts in the class as well as in the self study session. It will be a practice, we will discuss and we'll practice. So that's a program which I'll be keeping in January. Okay, so make sure that you don't miss the self study session and the classes from January onwards. Okay, like right now I'm working for it because you also need a better material, right, to perform well or to score well. Because in Indian Eco, basically what we have limited syllabus, but it's in very deep. But you have so many things to remember, and sometimes it's very difficult to remember each and everything. So that will help you a lot. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
No. So now population ratio. It is estimated number of worker divided by estimated population multiplied by 100. Okay. So over here, see this one. Work population ratio. Now the thing is, question is, ma'am, why we are studying this worker population ratio, right? So worker population ratio or the workforce participation rate is an indicator which is used for analyzing the employment situation in a country. Because of this ratio, you get to know what is the employment situation in the country, right? If the ratio is higher, right, it means that the engagement of people is great, like most of the people are working, right? But if the ratio for the country is medium or low, it means that a very high proportion of its population is not involved directly in economic activities, like most of the people are not working. That's why you find out work population ratio to find the situation. And if the number is higher, then it is greater engagement or the employment level is greater. But if it is low or medium, then it is not that good. Okay, this is what. And then over here you can see the situation, very important table. What you are seeing over here, total you are saying males are more working and females are less. But coming to rural and urban, you can see males are less, but in urban males are working more. But opposite, in rural area females are working in a good number, but in rural area, in urban area females are not working. right? So why it is like this? So let's just first see why there is a difference between worker population ratio in rural and urban area. So you can see in urban area most of the people are working, but in rural area less men are working, right? So let's just see. People in rural area have limited resource to earn a higher income and participation more in the employment market. So basically, what is the reason? People in rural area, they don't have much. For example, in urban area, you have different industries, you have different companies to work. But in rural area, you have different limited areas where you can work. Okay, but for example, if I don't want to work in agriculture field, then I will be always unemployed. I won't be getting any work, right? And similarly, many do not go to school, colleges, and other training institution. Even if they go, they discontinue in the middle to join the workforce. So over here, what you are saying that what people generally do, basically they go for in total, if you will talk about, so they go for, and in between they just leave it to join their work ratio, right? For example, in rural area, most of the poor people live, right? For example, I feel like that I am going school, and right now suddenly my parents are not well, right? So now who will earn for my family? So what I will do, I will drop my school and I'll do some work or something to earn. So this is the ratio as well. That's why in rural area you can see most of the people, what they do workforce, right? And people cannot stay at homes as their economic condition may not allow them to do so. So what they do, they basically start working at very early age. Okay. Then next is, on the other hand, in urban area a considerable section is able to study in various environments. So over here in urban area you can see most of the people, they are somewhere getting the job. Plus, why most of the people shift to urban areas to get job, plus most of the rural, like you can say, there is no such difference, right? Why there is no such difference? Because in rural area as well, people are leaving their studies to work. In urban area, why it is not that much high? Because most of the people, what right now, for example, if a student is studying, for example, let's just take an example of you. It's not like after 12th you will start working. No, you will get the highest degree, and after that, according to your qualification, you will choose your profession where you want to do and what type of job you want to do, right? So because of that, it also affect the employment opportunity. Okay, right? And now next, over here you can see in rural area women are more engaged, but in urban areas women are not engaged. So ma'am, what is the reason for that as well? So see, very very important. Most of the people think that female worker, it is common to find that when men are able to earn high income, families discourage female members for taking up the job. So in urban area, usually what happens, because men are basically earning a good job, right? So what do you do? They even ask their females to not to work because they are earning a good amount of money, right? So they ask them what's the need to work, right? And similarly, if they are earning a good amount, they you don't want their females to work, right? And similarly, see, in urban area and rural area, in rural area, agriculture farms are there, right? Agriculture fields are there. So what females are working over there, and they are also considered as working population. But in urban area you will not find any agriculture farm or something, right? So that's also, most of the women in agriculture fields, like most of the people in agriculture fields are women, right? So that's why you can say that most of the women are also engaged in work. But in urban area you don't have such facilities, so it is not like you don't consider those women that they are working or as a worker population. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay. So first you will read these 3 points, and after that these points are very important, why there is a difference between worker population and all that. So first read these 3 points, why worker population ratio is important, and after that the difference, and these 3 points, why are women in general in urban areas in particular not working. Okay. First read this. I'll scroll it down. Let me know once you are done. Suraj sir.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Okay. So let's just start with the next topic, which is basically self-employed and the hired workers. Okay. So first of all, what are the different types of workers? Okay. One is your self-employed, one is your casual worker, and one is your regularly salaried employers. So ma'am, who are self-employed basically? So workers who own and operate an enterprise to earn their livelihood are known as self-employed. Okay. And who are casual wage worker? Casual wage laborers are casually engaged in other farms and in return get a remuneration for the work done. Okay. So for example, over here construction work is going on. Right. For this, I will have for this construction work will go for 1 month maybe. Right. 1 month. So over here for this 1 month, I hired these people, and on daily basis, I will be giving them wage. So they are basically casual wage worker. Once the construction work is done, I will they will not get any further work, right? And plus there are some regular salaried employers. For example, this is my company, right? Maybe a company called Google. Right over here, all the employers under Google, they are regular salaried employers. So they will be getting regular salary, like at the month end or month starting, they'll be getting their salary. So they are regular salaried employed. So when a worker is engaged by someone or an enterprise and paid his or her wages on regular basis, they are known as regular salaried employer. Clear? This is what there are three type of worker. One is self-employed, one is casual one, and one is regular one. Clear? Types of worker.
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay. Now next is advantage of knowing the status which the worker is placed. So why you are studying all this? Like why should know that whether the person is self-employed or the casual worker or the regular salaried worker, right? So see, when you will know the status of the worker, right, it is only possible to know the quality of employment, right? So if I will get to know that in India most of the people are self-employed, right? So I will get okay, the quality is good. But if I get to know that most of the people are casual labor, right, casual wage laborers, I will say that the quality of employment is not good, right? So that's why it is very important to know about the status. Then it also enable us to understand the attachment a worker has with his work or his job, and the authority she or he has over the enterprise and over other co-worker. So over here what you will get to know the attachment. For example, over here the construction is going on, so I will not attach myself because I know after once the construction is done, I won't be getting the work, right? So there is no attachment for me, and I'm not going to do over for this. But for example, over here if I'm in this company, right, I will give my 100% or even 200% to help my company to grow. Why? Because if I will perform good, then I will get my promotion, right? So because of this, you get to know that whether the worker is attached to the institution, to the organization from where he is getting the money or where he is getting the work, or he is not. Okay, so that's why you should know about these type of like the things. So first you will study different categories of worker. Just quickly read it, and then the two reasons. Then we'll start with the very important topic.
Done, ma'am.
None students?
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Okay, so let's just start with the next topic. See, over here you have to remember this graph. Okay, so ma'am, what is this graph basically? So over here they will give you an overview. Okay, this is male and female. So you know there are three types of worker. One is your self-employed, right? One is your casual and one is your regular, right? So out of this, out male, you can say 51% of the male are self-employed, right? Casual wage laborers are this, and regular salaried are this, right? And for female, you can say self-employed more than female, and this and this. Now question comes from here, this one. They ask you that why more females are this regular salaried employed, sorry, less females are regular salaried employees and more males are regular salaried employees. Okay, so your answer comes from here, right? You can see it's 20% for male and only 13% for the female. So one of the reasons could be skill requirement. See, as I told you, most of the in India, most of the people feel like that women's are basically for household work, so they don't send their girl child to school most of the cases, right? So basically what happens, so if you are not sending your girl child to school, she will not get the proper skills, right? So if she is not getting the proper skills, then what will happen? If she will not get the job, because for getting regular salaried, becoming regular salaried employee, you should have the proper skills. So when you don't have, but as compared to females, all the males go to school, they take proper education and everything, right? So this is the situation. That's why you can say that females are less in this sector as compared to males. Okay, and since regular salary job requires skills and a higher level of literacy, women might not have been engaged in a greater extent. Because of these two reasons, women are not engaged. Like you cannot see more females in regular salary as a regular salaried employer. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in urban rural, you can see most of the people, they are, you can see urban also self-employed, but in rural area most of the people are self-employed, right? The question comes from here only. Now the thing is that, ma'am, why most of the people are in rural area most of the people are self-employed, and in urban area most of the people are this regular salary? Okay, why? As compared to comparing rural and worker, so in this, people have agriculture lands and everything, so they are the owner of agriculture land, right? So they are self-employed, right? Over here most of the people, even from different villages, rural areas and all that, they come for this job opportunity because there are different companies. So you can see most of the people in urban areas are engaged in regular salaried employers, or maybe or they have their own companies. Clear? So this is the situation. Now coming to next thing, employment in firm, factories and offices. Okay, so there are different sectors, so we'll just discuss it according to sector. So first is your primary sector. You have to remember one thing: in primary sector, what occupation is preeminent, like this. And in second, you have three sector: primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So first of all, we will understand primary sector means what. So primary sector, basically it includes agriculture. Okay, if you are doing agriculture, that means you are working in a primary sector. So you have three sectors, right? So if you are working if you are a farmer, right? So what you, I will say you in which sector you are working. So you will say I'm working in a primary sector. Okay, so over here 64% of the rural workforce depends on the agriculture, right? And agriculture is, but in urban area agriculture is not a major source of employment in urban area. So over here what you are getting, you have to just check urban and rural. First of all, like you will, what you are going to do, you have a table like this, right? So first of all you will write sector: primary, secondary and tertiary, right? Primary sector means agriculture, right? So one more table will be here. You have to write in whether it's prominent in urban or rural. So it is prominent in rural, right? So you will write R. Okay. And then coming to your next sector, which is secondary sector. So secondary sector means, for example, if you are working in mining and quarrying, you are working in manufacture, you are working in electricity, gas and water supply offices, or you are working in any construction site. So that means you are engaged in secondary sector. Very, very important. They give you example and they ask you this occupation refers to secondary, primary or tertiary sector. Okay, so this is what. So now what you will get to know that, see, 35% of the people are engaged in urban, right? But only 20% of the rural workers are engaged in this. So again, for secondary sector, these are the occupation like mining and quarrying, manufacturing, electric, gas, water supply and all that. And how urban or rural, which is prominent, urban area people are more engaged in secondary sector. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming to tertiary sector. So tertiary sector means trade, transport and storage and services. Services can be, for example, you are a teacher, you are a doctor, you are a plumber. So what you are giving? You are an engineer. So these are basically, you are a lawyer. So these are basically the services. Okay. So this is what. So tertiary sector means that. So over here, 60% of the people are of urban area are working in tertiary sector, and in rural area only 16%. So again, coming to tertiary sector, you know, these are the occupation like trade, transport and storage services. All this will come in tertiary sector. Urban or rural, which one is prominent, ma'am? Urban one. You can say 60% of the people are engaged and only 16 of the in rural area. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you'll quickly read it from the primary sector. Primary sector, just read it. Primary sector, just read what it includes, and then read in what is the proportion for rural area and what is the proportion for urban area. And then for secondary, for tertiary. Be very quick. Done, students?
Yes, ma'am, done.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
Okay. Now coming to next is growth and changing structure of the employment. So ma'am, what is this? Very, very important. Okay. So see, first of all, how will you get to know that whether what is the changing structure of employment and what are the indicator of economic development, right? So first of all, growth of employment and growth of GDP. These are the two indicator because of which you will get to know the economic development, whether economic development is increasing or not. Okay. So for example, economic development, for example, if earlier 10 people are employed but now 20 people are employed, so that means yes ma'am, there is a economic development, right? Similarly, if your GDP was for example 20, now your GDP is 100, so ma'am, yes, economic development, right? So these are basically the indicators of economic development. Okay, so let's just see one by one. Now, next is this. How does growth pattern of employment and GDP affected different sector of the workforce? Very, very important, right? So see, a major section of population lives in rural and is dependent on agriculture as their main livelihood. Then development strategies in India have aimed at reducing the proportion of people depending on agriculture, right? So earlier what was happening, all of the people basically were engaged in agriculture sector. You can see this. Primary sector 74, then somehow it came down for 68, then 64, then 60. Now for 2011 and 12 it is 48, right? So basically see, if you want to increase your GDP, you should change the pattern of your employment. Earlier most of the people were basically engaged in primary sector like agriculture, so you were not, it was not contributing that much to GDP, right? But now slowly what you do sector wise also you should change, right? Over here you can see most less people were engaged in secondary, but over here what is the situation, most of the people are engaged in the most of the people again are engaged here, but you can see the ratio is increasing day by day, right? So somehow a day will come that it will become least and these two sectors will be maximum like this. Okay. And then coming to self-employed, earlier 61% people were self-employed, but now it is coming down. Why? Because earlier most of the people had agricultural land and they were the owner of it, right? But now people are shifting from agriculture sector to some other sector. So yeah, there is a decrement. Okay. Now this is very important. The process of moving from self-employment and regular salaried employment to casual wage worker as casualization of workforce, this makes workers' life highly vulnerable. See, for example, if I am a self-employed person or regular salary worker, so basically I am getting money every month. It's a security basically, right? But for example, now if I am a casual worker, so it's not sure that whether I will get my money on time, whether I will get the job or not, right? So this is basically, this makes the workers more vulnerable, like they are very prone to any problem related to job. Okay. Then coming to informalization of Indian workforce, so worker in formal and informal sector, right? So there are two types of work, but basically one is your formal sector, one is your informal sector. So let's just look what is this. So see, formal sector basically they are engaged. Over here, see, two types of workers are there, like two types of people working. One is working in informal and one is working in formal. So what are the facility the formal one is giving and what are the facility or disadvantage informal one is getting, right? See, the workers in the formal sector get regular income. They also enjoy social security benefits such as maternity benefit, provident fund, gratuited and post pension, right? They also earn they earn more than those in the informal sector. So the person who are engaged in formal sector, they get all those facilities like security and everything, bonus, everything. Plus, the government through its labor laws enable them to protect their rights in various ways. So they also have a control, like government also give them a security that, for example, I am working in an office, this is a formal office, right? So over here, for example, if I am joining over here, nobody can fire me because I will get my offer letter and there are some documentation and everything, plus it's my right to work over here. Nobody can fire me until and unless I am not willing to, right? Or until and unless I didn't did any something wrong, right? Plus the formal sector workers from trade unions bargain with employers for better wages and other social security measures. So over here what you can do, this is very important. For example, this is me, I can ask my boss to increase my salary because I have the reason that I'm working too hard, I'm working from last 5 years in this organization, so they should increase my salary, right? So these are basically the benefit of formal sector, right? But Now coming to informal sector. Informal sector basically public sector establishment or public sector establishment which imply 10 hired worker and more than from the informal sector like this. So now see, basically now the question is, ma'am, what for informal sector who are included? So millions of farmers and the agriculture laborers, they are owner of small enterprise and the people working in those enterprise. For example, I have a tea stall, right? So I'm the owner of tea stall, and the person who are working, I have, this is informal basically, right? Plus the people who are working in my tea stall, they are also in the informal sector. Plus self-employed people who do not have any hired worker. For example, I have my shop, I am self-employed, nobody is giving me money, right? So I am a self-employed. Plus non-farm casual wage laborers, for example, who are working on wages on daily basis, they are working. These people come under informal sector. Okay, so over here, see, this is what, remember one thing, in formal sector you will be getting all this benefit, right? In informal sector you won't be getting all this benefit, right? So this is what the benefit it is. Clear?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Now see, quality of employment has been deteriorating over the years. So ma'am, what is this? Why they are saying like this? So see, even after working for more than 10 to 20 years, worker in the informal sector do not get maternity benefits. So these are basically, see, these are basically the, we discussed the benefits of formal sector. Right now, these are basically the informal sector things. See, even if you are working for 10 to 20 years in a particular like informal sector, you won't be getting all this benefit like PF, maternity benefit, gratuity, and the pension and all that. You won't be getting, right? Plus, a person working in private sector get a lower salary as compared to another person doing the same work in the public sector. Public is basically government sector. So why most of the people are going for government sector? Because they are getting good salary, plus they are getting a security of their job, right? And development planning envision that as the economy grow, more and more worker will become formal sector worker, and the proportion of worker engaged in the informal sector will decrease. But this has not happened in India, right? So over here, what we said when we got independence, we said that as we will be keep on developing, then people from informal sector will be shifting to the formal sector, right? But this is not happening in the case of this. So that's why you can say that, ma'am, the quality of employment has been deteriorating over the years because of this reason, because informal sector people are not getting the security, right? And a person who are working in private sector, they are getting lower salary. Plus, as discussed when we were doing planning and all that, it was said that most of the people will be shifting from informal sector to formal sector, but nothing happened in case of India, right? So these are basically the issues that we are facing. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you will quickly read it, okay, and then we will do the next thing. Okay, read it from here. Read it from here. Formal sector, these 3 points, and then the informal.